And I'm going to make little notes on here just so you guys can like see what each type is. But anytime I give you guys a quiz, I try to make a review as similar to the quiz as I can. So, you know, tomorrow, problem number 1, very well maybe the only one-step inequality you guys see, and then you'll move into 2-step, and then you'll do multi-step, and then compound. So problem number 1 is just a one-step. When you guys have just a one-step, you are either just adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. You're just doing one of those, and it just depends on whatever you see. So for those of you that are a little bit newer, you don't ever want to move that letter. The only time I move the letter is if it's over here and I bring it over here. But as far as that letter goes, you want to keep that where it's at. You just want to move whatever's near it. So I see a minus 12. How do you move that? Just going to add 12. Okay, and then if this line helps you to see the two sides, draw it. I mean, even though you guys just started, this is the stuff we've been doing for the entire first 4 weeks. When we did equations, I made everybody draw that line so that way it would help them see, okay, here's the left. You wouldn't want to have a plus 12 and a plus 12 because then you just really added 24 to one side instead of 12 to each side. You can. Yeah, you can put a 1 in front of the x. And then you bring this symbol down, and then what's 3 plus 12? 15. Okay? Because there's a 1 in front of the x, do I have to divide? The only number you don't have to divide by is 1. If you want to, like if you guys stuck that 1 there and you wanted to show the division, that's fine, but it's not going to change anything. Any other number you would most definitely have to divide by. So if it was negative 1, 2, 5, whatever, you'd have to do the division. Okay, so one step, that one's done. I mean, I made it 2 steps, but really you didn't have to. What kind of circle is this going to be? Closed. Okay, closed because of the equal sign. So if you see part of an equal sign, you need to color the circle in. So you go up to the 15, color it in. And then this symbol, even if you guys can't look at that and tell me that it's less than, this symbol is this arrow. Sorry. So that's where you shade. You just shade towards the symbol on the number line. But that is less than. So less than, you always go left. Any questions about problem number 1? Okay. I imagine there's only one where it's just one step on the quiz. Hi. This review that we're doing, it's by the door. Okay, problem number 2. Okay, so here's my letter. You don't want to do anything with that letter. If you see a plus or a minus, that's what you want to get rid of first. So I see a plus 3. What do we do? Subtract 3. On all your 2-step inequalities, most of the time you're adding or subtracting first. And then we finish, most of the time we finish with division. Okay, so we're going to bring down the 5x. We're going to bring down the greater than symbol. And then if you type in negative 97 minus 3 into the calculator, should be negative 100. Yeah, just use the negative button at the bottom, so negative 97, and then use the blue minus button, then 3. Nope, I think you just put an extra negative in there. Minus 3. Okay. And then last step, again, we want to get this by itself, so since there's a 5 attached to it, when they're side by side, you divide. So we're going to divide by 5. X is now by itself. We divided by a positive, so the symbol is going to stay exactly the same. What's negative 100 divided by 5? Negative 20. And like I mentioned, I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday, but the nice thing about the number line being provided is that, let's just say you accidentally here typed in like negative 100 plus 5 or minus 5, your answer would not have even been up here. So then you know you did something wrong. Okay, this does not have an equal sign, so it's open. So if you guys are still confused on that, you might want to write those little notes on there. Open because there's no equal sign, closed because there was an equal sign. And then this symbol is greater than, but if you didn't know that, it matches this arrow. So you are shading to the right anytime you see a greater than symbol. Questions on number 2? Okay, well, let me just remind you, 2-step, we added or subtracted first, and then we multiply or divide second. Number 3 and number 4 are both 2 steps. So on 3 and 4, you still want to either add or subtract first, and then multiply or divide last. So for problem number 3, do not do anything with that fraction yet, because that's where the letter is. So I don't want to touch that yet. I just want to move the constant. So this is the number that's like standing alone. How do I move that one? You're going to add a positive 2 to cancel out the negative 2. Bring down your fraction, so k divided by 3. Bring down your symbol, and then you would just type in negative 7 plus 2. Negative 5. Huh? Oh, yeah. Yes. So then to get k completely by itself, k has been divided by 3, and the opposite or inverse of division is multiplication. So to get rid of divided by 3, you multiply by 3. I show it that way. I really, and don't write this down, but I really don't like when you guys do this. Because a lot of you, like, do that. Like, you'll put times 3 down there on the bottom. In order for them to cancel, this 3 would have to be up top, and this 3 would have to be on the bottom. So these two both look like they're on the bottom, and it just doesn't, I mean, it's not, technically it's not right, the way that some of you show that. You are supposed to show that you're multiplying, and I just put the 3 out to the side, because then this 3 is up there with the k, which would cancel out the 3 that's under the k. I mean, I know that's kind of like picky, but that's essentially the way that you're supposed to do it. We are multiplying by a positive, so the 3 is the number we're multiplying by, and since it's positive, nothing changes. That symbol just comes straight down, and what's negative 5 times 3? Negative 15. There's no equal sign. Yep, so that one will have an open circle. And then so many people are just always in such a hurry. When you have negatives, I know when you guys went up here, most people see 14 and immediately go to the right because they think 15's bigger. Well, that's true if you're talking about positive numbers, but when you're talking about negatives, it's the opposite way. So negative 14's here, negative 15 would be to the left of it. So you want to put your circle in between the negative 14 and the negative 16. And then which way do I shade, left or right? Left. Less than, sorry, less than matches this arrow. So less than goes left. Number 4, pretty much just like number 2. Like, I see a -9. How are we going to move that?
Add 9.
We're going to add 9. And then the number in front of n we'll divide by at the end. You just have to be careful because we are dividing by a negative on this one. Okay? So here's the original problem. We do not want to move that n. We just want to leave it where it's at. We want to move the constant that's paired up with it. So that's the -9. We're adding 9 to the left and the right. So we bring down negative 2n, bring down your symbol, and then what's 3 plus 9? 12. Divide by? Okay, so you might want to make a little note right here. Divide by a negative, flip symbol. Okay, so you guys are going to see my greater than symbol flip around to less than or equal because of the fact that we divided by a negative. What is that? Yep, -6. It has an equal sign. Okay, so we're going to do closed because of the equal sign. So -6. Close circle, and then it flipped around to less than. So don't base it off of the original one. Make sure you're basing it off of your answer. Less than goes left. Okay, so 1 through 4, 1 step and 2 step. And then as soon as you guys flip it over, 5 and 6 are the multi-step equation, or not equations, inequalities. So you guys can go ahead and flip it over if you have those 4 done. And we'll start with number 5. A lot of you guys that were not here last week or previous weeks, you know, seeing those parentheses, seeing those parentheses, a lot of you were just kind of confused. You weren't really sure what to do. Well, we talked about distributive property, I don't know, in here, maybe like week 1. It seems like it's been a while, week 1 or week 2. So whenever you see a set of parentheses, you cannot solve that without getting rid of them. So the way you get rid of it is using distributive property. And what that means is whatever number's on the outside, you're going to multiply by both of the numbers on the inside. So I'm going to take -6 times 6, which is what? -36. And then you're going to take -6 times +8, which is -48, but do not forget to bring that x with it. If you guys leave that x off of there, you're not going to have a variable anymore, and then you're not going to know what to do. So make sure when you multiply a number by a variable, they just attach to each other. Everything else just comes down. So then now you have a two-step. You have a problem just like we were doing on the front. You don't want to move, like you don't want to do anything with this. You want to leave that since it has the letter. We want to move this number. So how do you cancel out a negative 36? We're going to put a positive with it. Both sides. All this stuff just comes down and then you do your addition over here. Which is what? 240? So negative 48x is greater than or equal to 240. Last step. Yep. So there's another time when we're dividing by a negative. So this needs to flip. Negative 5. All right, equal sign, so it's closed. In between -4 and -6. It's less than again, so you shade towards that arrow, which means you shade left. That's considered multi-step because of there being distributive property in the beginning. So you actually had to do 3 steps there. We had to multiply everything out first, then we added, then we divided. So it's multi-step because it's more than 2 steps. Okay, now number 6, we actually did a problem like that yesterday, but it was like one of the compound ones, but it had variables on both sides. So when you have a variable on both sides, it is considered multi-step because we need to bring all the k's that are on the right, we need to bring them over to the left side and pair it up with the other k term. So I'm just going to copy this down real quick and then I'll start moving everything around. What do you guys think? How do I move that one? You're going to add 7k. Make sure you line it up with the other k term because that's the one it's going to pair up with. So these two add together. Then I'm just bringing those 3 things down, like the -7, the symbol, and the -13. What's -8 plus 7? Should be -1. And just don't forget your letter. So -1k -7 is less than or equal to -13. What next? So now this is just the typical 2-step that we were doing before. We're going to get rid of the -7 by adding 7. So -1k comes down, symbol comes down, and then -13 plus 7 is what? -6. One more step. So good. Pros. You guys are pros. Okay, there we're dividing by a negative, so the symbol has to flip, right? So we have k, this flips around to greater than or equal to, and then when you're dividing a negative by a negative, it turns positive. It's a +6. No, it's got an equal sign.
Yeah. flip is my favorite word.
So that's going to be a closed circle because it has the equal sign. Just go on up there to the 6 right here, color it in, and then greater than goes to the right. Now, everybody sitting in this room right now has been here Monday and Tuesday. That's what the bottom is. Okay, so the 7, 8, and 9, as long as you've been here the last 2 days, that's what you guys have been doing for the last 2 days. So on Monday, we did a compound inequality that either had the word or the word and. Okay, so that's what those two are. Yesterday, we did the type where it was all written together. Is that or and? That's an and problem. And the only difference between them, like the way you solve everything is the same as what we've been doing, but the only difference is with or, you know, you're going to have 2 circles. They may both be open, closed. You may have one of each, but then they go opposite directions for the shading. And is going to go in between. I mean, that's the only difference between them. Okay, so, you know, here's one of our inequalities. So you just want to copy that down. We'll work that one out first. And then here's your other one. Just be really careful because unfortunately, if you guys copy it down from here to here wrong, you're not going to get a right answer. So just make sure when you're copying the problem down, you get all the pieces that were there in the beginning. Okay, how do I do this? Add the 10. Is less than negative 25. Divide by? Here we're dividing by a negative. Symbol flips. And then what's a negative 25 divided by negative 5? Positive 5. Okay, so you could go ahead and put an open circle at the 5 if you'd like. We're not going to do, so 5's not on there, but we know 5 would fall right between the 4 and the 6, right? So I just usually, if the number's not there, I usually just stick like a tick mark in there and then just make your circle there. But we're not going to do any shading because I don't know where my other circle is going to go. Like I know I'm going to shade out, but if my other number is over here, I don't want to shade right. You know, I don't want to assume that that's the way I'm going until I solve the other one. So for this one, subtract the 4 to get that 6a by itself. What's negative 44 minus 4? Negative 48. And then finish with your division step. Now that time we're dividing by a positive, so don't change that symbol. What's negative 48 divided by 6? That one would be closed because of the equal sign. Just go back up to your number line, put a circle at the negative 8 and fill it in. And now since you have both circles on there, now you guys can go ahead and shade opposite directions. So this one is going to shade to the right, this one here is going to shade to the left. So for problem number 8, you guys are doing 2 individual 2-step inequalities. So same steps, add or subtract first, then divide at the end. We're going to add 1, giving us 70. Divide by 10. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about any kind of like, do I have to flip my symbol? No, because we divided by a positive. So it ends up being positive 7, and it's going to be closed because of that equal sign. Let's see, 7's up here. And what do you think the first step is on that other one?
Subtract 7.
Yeah, subtract 7. This is the kind that I warn you guys of every time. I'm always concerned about this 7 when it's out front and then there's a minus sign behind, because I'm always afraid you guys are going to add 7 because you see this. But that 7 is positive, so you do want to subtract 7. Actually, if you added 7 and then you went to do your division step, it would not give you a whole number. And I'm never going to give you one of these if it's a decimal, because I wouldn't make you graph a decimal. So that's just one thing to also keep in mind for tomorrow. If you guys are working out a problem and you go to do like a division step and you notice it's a decimal, you know you messed up somewhere, don't leave it. Like, go back and try to fix what you did. What's negative 29 minus 7? Negative 36. And then there's dividing by a negative. So this will flip. X is alone. Negative 36 divided by negative 6. Positive 6. Oh. That one is closed because of the equal sign. So then you've got positive 6. Here's one of those problems where the two answers were side by side, and then where's the shading? In between them. So not very much to shade there. Do you guys, I'm going to write on there, I don't know if you need this or not, but and will be in between. I'm just talking about the shading here. So if you see that word and, you make sure you shade in between the two circles. And if you see the word or, opposite directions, or you can say like shade out. It's been a while since I've given this quiz, but I feel like there maybe not, maybe I'm confusing it with Algebra 1A, but there may be a question on there asking you like which way would I shade, like left or right? Would it be an open circle or a closed circle? I actually think that's the very first problem on your quiz, is they give you a symbol and they ask you, is it open or closed, and then which way would you shade? So you just want to make sure you know, open when there's no equal, closed when there is, less than goes left, greater than goes right. All right, last one. Since they wrote the whole thing together, you guys are going to have to write your own. Like, you're going to have to separate these. So the first one is the left and the middle. Okay, so I would write down negative 22 is less than 2 minus 3x. What's the second one?
2 minus 3x.
Yep, all the way to the end, right? So you do the middle again. So you start with the 2 minus 3x, and then you just keep going, less than 17. You've got to be able to separate those yourself, because obviously, like, I'm not going to be standing there next to you telling you how to do it. So This might be a good problem to put as an example on your page of notes, if you decide to make a page of notes. I don't like this. I don't like how this one's written because my variable is over here on the right and I always like it on the left. So if it were me, I showed you guys this yesterday, I usually take those two sides, switch them, right? I put the 2 minus 3x on the left and I put the negative 22 on the right. But because I switched it around, I have to switch the symbol. So this one will have to flip around if you guys decide to flip sides like I did. And then we can actually start solving it. So how do I move the 2? Subtract it. So negative 3x is greater than negative 24. Finish with your division. So since we're dividing by a negative, I'm going to flip that symbol again. So this will actually flip twice in the problem. Negative 24 divided by negative 3 is positive 8. Open. There's no equal sign. Same 2 steps here. We're still going to move the 2, and then we're still going to divide by the negative 3 just like we did this one. So we're going to subtract 2 from the 17, giving us 15. Make sure when you guys bring down that 3x, because there's a minus sign in front of it, it's technically negative 3x. And then step 2, divide. We're divided by a negative. So flip this symbol around to greater than. And then 15 divided by negative 3. Negative 5. That one also does not have an equal sign. So that one will also be open. And your negative 5 on your number line is in between the negative 4 and the negative 6. So you want to go up there, put a circle in between those two, make it open. And then we said in the beginning that since there's no word and it's all written together, that the shading goes in between because it's an and problem. So you guys would then just shade towards one another. And then that's the last one. Like I said, on your quiz tomorrow, there's 10 problems. So there's one of each of these. And then the very first one is the one where they ask you like what the graph would look like based on the symbol that they give you.